Welcome, dear listeners, to another bone chilling episode of Devi's Horror Nights. I am your host, Devi, and tonight we bring you a terrifying real life experience from one of our subscribers, Anubhav. In his own words, Anubhav shares the airy night he spent with ghosts. So, without further delay, let's dive into his haunting encounter. Anubhav writes, around 7 years ago, I received an invitation to attend my cousin's dinner party. Despite having never met him in person and only conversing over the phone, his family unexpectedly invited me. The address on the invitation was unfamiliar to my GPS, so I had to use a map to find and mark its location. As I drove, I noticed how far away I was from the city, just trees and farms all around. I couldn't help but think, where am I going? Eventually, I found an address that looked familiar. As I got closer to the house, I was surprised by how gloomy it looked, covered in leaves and branches. Unsure, I whispered to myself, this can't be the place. As I drove up to the rocky driveway, my aunt and uncle came out to greet me looking happy and excited. Once I was inside, I asked where my cousin was. They told me he had gone out to run some tasks and would be back later. The next couple of hours was spent discussing my mother and family, accompanied by a delicious homemade pot roast prepared by my aunt. We concluded the evening with an intense game of Uno, surprisingly enjoyable and competitive. As Uno wrapped up and darkness set in, there was still no sign of my cousin. Despite time, I decided it was best to leave. Navigating through the unfamiliar landscape would be challenging in the dark. With my GPS proving ineffective, I asked my aunt and uncle for directions to the highway. Their puzzled expressions greeted my request. Aren't you staying the night? They asked. Explaining my work commitments and the inability to miss another day, I insisted on leaving. They strongly urged me to stay, expressing concern for my well being. Growing irritated, I agreed to stay the night but reminded them that I had to leave early for work. To my surprise, they seemed oddly excited about it. When they went to get bed sheets and pillows, I quickly took the chance to slip out and drive away. It took a while, but I finally got away from that unsettling place. I reached home at 11 pm, an hour later than I had planned. I tried not to wake my parents, but when I came in through the back door, I found my mom waiting for me in the bright kitchen. Where were you? She inquired. I was at Aunt Hina's place. You knew this. Then why did she call saying you never arrived? The question haunted me, but I ignored it, thinking it was just a weird mistake. After some days, when my real Aunt Hina came to visit our house, a chilling realization dawned upon me. I had visited someone else's place that day. The house that I thought was my aunt's was a complete mystery. Years later, curiosity got the best of me. Determined to get to the bottom of the strange encounter, I decided to revisit the place, hoping to uncover the truth behind this airy experience. With the help of modern GPS technology, I tracked down the location, determined to understand what had happened. As I approached the familiar creepy house, I noticed something chilling. It looked even more abandoned than before, with no signs of life. The air felt heavy and tense. When I went inside, I found old photos and papers scattered around. To my surprise, the pictures showed my so called aunt and uncle, but they were from decades ago. It hit me like a cold shock. These people weren't my real relatives. I discovered a faded newspaper clipping detailing a tragic story from the 1970s. The couple in the house had lost their only son in a car accident. Overcome with grief, they invited strangers to dinner, pretending they were long lost family members trying to fill the void left by their son. The clipping concluded with a grim note. They had died in the house 5 years later, but reports of people seeing them continued to surface, describing encounters eerily similar to mine. A chill ran down my spine as I connected the dots. The people I had spent that evening with were not among the living. The welcoming smiles, the game of Uno, the insistence on staying the night, they were all part of a desperate illusion to recreate a sense of family and belonging. I fled the house, my heart pounding. The mystery was solved, but the answer was far more haunting than I could have imagined. The spirits of that sorrowful couple had reached out to me, trapped in their endless quest for the family they had lost. I never returned to that place again, but their tragic story remains with me, a chilling reminder of the night I spent with the ghosts of the past. I hope you all enjoyed this story. If you did, please like, share and subscribe to this channel for more authentic tales. You can certainly mail me any real life story or incident on the email address mentioned in the description box. Until next time, stay safe.